What is up, internet people? It's your boy Rico the GearHead here with another episode. Now, even before we even continue, if you're new here, hello and welcome to the #1 channel in Eastern Central Africa that brings you great and epic motorcycle content. Do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you're updated whenever we post a new episode every week. We already have 2 new episodes every week. Well, at least we try to. Now, I haven't posted in the last week. Reason being, there was a slight change with the curfew timings. I'd say so. Our work timings also did change, so it was kind of hard trying to find time to make some episodes. So I had to take a week off to kind of plan myself on how to go forward, as the channel is growing. We're already past 250 subscribers. That's a quarter of 1,000. So basically, slowly by slowly, we will get there. All thanks to you guys who are watching this channel. Yeah, so if you're new here, do consider subscribing again, and let's get into it. Now, the reason being I'm doing a voiceover is because I thought I was recording. I hit the record button on my recorder, but it didn't capture anything. Only came to find out later when I was editing. Again, that's my bad. So we'll be doing a voiceover today. We'll be reviewing, or rather I will be giving my first impressions on the TVS Apache RTR 160. Now, this bike, I did have some few squabbles with it. There's some few things that I didn't like about it, and as you know how we do, we always compare it to some of the familiar bikes we have featured on the channel, and those of which I have ridden before. Today we'll be comparing it to the Benelli TNT 150 and also to the Dayun DY 200, since they fall almost in the same class of bikes, or rather in the same category when it comes to the displacement. They also the Apache RTR is a small displacement bike which has, or rather it's a 159.7 cc's. Now, before we even get into it, this bike was provided to me by Nairobi Motorcycle Bazaar. They're a great friend of the channel and also a great friend to me, and for that I do say thank you so much. You've been such a great friend. You're the reason why we do have most of these bikes here. So once again, thank you for providing me with this very specific bike, the Apache RTR 160. And remember, guys, they do sell bikes. You can check them out on Facebook and Nairobi Motorcycle Bazaar. They're also on Instagram, and soon they will be hosting a new event if everything goes well, if the country opens up well and people do obey what the government is saying. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, this very specific model, I did have this was a 2012 model. It was a Apache 2012 model. It was among the very first models to be produced. It comes from an Indian company in TVS Apache. They have produced a lot of bikes. I know some of you guys even have ridden the TVS 100, which is common for delivery guys and also for border industry. Now, this very specific bike is a 159.7 cc single cylinder 4-stroke engine that is air cooled. Now, let's talk about some of the cons that this bike has. One thing is, of course, compared to the Benelli TNT 150, which is a 150cc, it's quite, with the higher displacement comes with a higher speed overall. If you're someone who is throttle happy, this bike can make you scream your lungs out, because this bike is quite punchy. Let me use the word punchy. This bike is quite punchy because a small twist of the wrist, the bike will launch you first, will launch you forward. It's quite fast, especially I think it has the power band is concentrated more on the lower end, so it has lower end torque. I'd say it's not per se torque, but it has lower end power, so you might want to be careful whenever you have this very specific bike. That it's unlike the Benelli, which has the power band is a little bit stretched over. The other thing that I did like about this bike is the gears. It's a 5-speed gear. It has a 5-speed gearbox. However, the gears on this bike, they're quite they're not too long and they're not too short, but the bikes have enough gear. The gear range for you between one gear and another is quite sufficient enough that you would, if you're stuck maybe on a traffic or something, you wouldn't have to quite change the gears all the way fast up like the way the Benelli does. So the gears, I did like how the gears were on this bike, but if you shift correctly, if you shift at the right time, the bike does wonders. It's like a mini rocket when it comes to think of it. So there also, the other thing that I did like about the bike is the seat cushion. It has a banana seat in a way, so the seat is quite comfortable. I guess that's why it's also preferred in the boda industry, since it can carry almost I'd say we can ferry almost 2 to 3 persons on the bike, excluding yourself of course. And the other thing that I did like about the bike is how the engine revs. There's a certain swirl, there's a certain small kind of a whistle that the bike produces whenever you are cruising down. It's something subtle. Unless you have a good ear, you can actually hear the whistle. Apart from that, I'd like to say that this bike, well, according to my own opinion, I found this bike to have quite a lot of cons other than pros, I guess. And this is according to me, coming from remember, I'm doing this, I'm comparing it to the few bikes that I've ridden. I am no expert in any way, so this is all again based on my own opinion. The first thing that I did not like about the RTR 160 is the overall design of the headlight and the dashboard and everything. I did find it to be quite big for nothing, since the bike is skinny in itself. I didn't see quite the point of having such a huge headlight which occupies a lot of space. There's a lot of negative space around the headlight and everything. I guess they were trying to make it more appealing or something. It does look like a big iceberg or something, but I have seen the newer models that seem to like they seemed to have actually corrected that. I'd say it's smaller. I don't know how to put it, but I didn't like the dash, especially the dash and the headlight. Of course, also speaking of the dash is digital / analog. It does have an analog tachometer with a digital speedometer. The thing that lacks on that very specific dash is it has no gear indicator, but this is no big issue. A lot of bikes don't have gear indicators, but that's an easy fix. You can always get you can always purchase an aftermarket gear indicator and find a way to find the wires which are used for sensing the gears, and that's an easy fix. A lot of bikes, for example the Kawasaki Ninja 400R, doesn't have a gear indicator, and I've seen some people install gear indicators, so that's an easy fix. The other thing that I did not like about the bike is whenever you indicate on the dash, it shows as if you have your hazard lights on, so you're never quite sure which side you're indicating. Might cause a few problems, but I guess if you get used to it, then that's not much of a hassle. The other thing that I did not like about the bike is the small tires. I'm not sure about the sizes of the tires. I will have to look them up and post on the screen so that you can see, but the tires are quite small, which makes it a bit difficult when it comes to stability. Now, being a faster bike, it does pick up quite well, but the wheelbase, the sizes of the tires, I think they're in for questioning, because as I will show you quite shortly about when I was going at on the higher speeds, the bike did waver a bit, because I'd say it's not as stable as much on the higher speeds. Mostly I'd say because of the small tire base. I'm not sure if you can increase the tire size of the rear wheel. I guess you'll have to do some kind of modifications on the bike in order to accommodate a bigger tire size. But apart from that, the tires did perform well. They were sort of an how do I put this, it performs both well on tarmac and off-road. Bike doesn't have that much of a great braking power, since the front has a disc brake and the rear is actually a drum brake, which kind of beats the purpose of the bike. If you have to go if the bike is going fast, I think the one thing that they should have concentrated also more on the bike is the braking power, or the braking system of the bike. The brakes, for the front brakes, from what I found out from the bike, is you'd have to squeeze almost all the way in order to to stop very fast. Remember, there's a way that you can there's a system of how you should brake whenever you're going on higher speeds, but for this bike it was kind of difficult to brake, especially when you are on the higher speeds. So I'd highly recommend, if you have this bike, to be quite careful whenever you're braking. The rear drum brake wasn't quite as powerful as I would have hoped. This is well coming from I'm used to having the awesome stopping power of the Benelli TNT 150, which completely blows my mind. Everyone who rides a Benelli TNT knows how good the brakes of the Benelli are, but for the RTR 160, this 2012 model was quite wanting. I'm sure the newer versions of the RTR 160, which also include an ABS single channel system, have better and more quality brakes. Now, apart from that, I will show you a small clip of the speeds, that top speed that I was able to manage to get. It was about 113 to 116 kilometers per hour, and that is when I was completely tucked in. The wind buffing on this bike is quite extreme. Also, the sitting posture isn't that bad, although the foot pegs, whenever you depending on how you place your feet on the foot pegs, you, in a way, your heel does touch the pillion seats foot pegs, which can be quite confusing, but once again, something that you can get used to. Apart from that, the bike does perform well. Is it a good beginner bike? I'd say yes. I've seen a lot of people having it. The parts out there, the parts are crazy. There's even a dealership, or rather service parts, here close to where I stay. So the parts are there. It's from an Indian company, so they make things in bulk. When I compare it to the Benelli 150, I'd say they are quite at par. But when it comes, if the Benelli TNT 150 and the Apache 160 was set to be on a drag race, trust me, the Apache would win hands down. It's a guarantee. The bike is quite fast, so once again, you have to be quite careful. If you're throttle happy, this bike can cause you to land in a lot of trouble. Now, apart from that, here's a small clip of me trying to go at least the highest speeds. Although the bike, when it's brand new, I think the dash has a recorder of the highest speed that the bike has gone, of which on this bike it showed 160 kilometers per hour. I'd like to see that in person, but apart from that, hey, it's a bike. Once again, I'd like to thank Nairobi Motorcycle Bazaar for providing me with this very specific bike. If you're interested, they do sell bikes on their pages. It's a company that sells bikes. If you're interested, you can check them out on Facebook and on Instagram. I will post the links to their pages in the description box below. So here's a clip of me trying to get to the higher speeds. So that's all I had for this channel, for this video. More episodes are coming on their way. We do have a Jincheng off-road bike in the works. We also have a Honda Steed for all you cruiser guys out there. Remember, all you have to do in order to not to miss, you'll have to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, share and comment down in our videos. Remember, we are almost announcing, actually we'll be announcing the winner of the next giveaway series on Friday or Saturday, depending on which day the episode will be uploaded. So you might want to stick around for that. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for 251 plus subs. It really means a lot to me. This channel is growing well, and remember guys, the more we grow, the more our giveaways become. So until next time guys, ride safe, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.